Let me ask you one question. Do you use Facebook? Yes. Do you use Google, Insta, or YouTube, or any other application? Yes. Okay, so let me ask you that how these websites are made by using a programming language. But which kind of programming language? Okay, so the very obvious answer to this question is JavaScript. This is a client side as well as a server side programming language which can be used for designing websites, not designing but developing websites, making desktop application, games nowadays. So in this video, we are going to take a look after the basic concepts which are the most important before you develop any kind of application by using JS. So without wasting time, let's dive into the video. So before we get started with the video, first I want to tell you about the extensions that I use personally in my VS Code to make it more fancy. First extension is Code Runner. So this can work for Run, C, C++, Java, JS, PHP, Python, Perl, Ruby, Go, Lua, Groovy, PowerShell, CMD, Bash, and a lot of programming languages. So how the Code Runner is working? Like you can just click here and visit the official website of Code Runner to get a lot about get a lot about this website and as well as the extension. Okay, let me just close that. And now here, okay, let me just give you an example that how this Code Runner works. Suppose you can see that I have just installed it and enabled it. So suppose if I go to my JS file and write here some basic code like console.log 2, and then I click on this run button, and this run button you will never see if you do not download the code runner. If you download it, you will see this button. If I just click here, boom, you can see there is an output in the terminal too. But one thing it should be in mind, suppose you are making a C, okay, so suppose I just make a file here, index.c, and I just write some basic code here, any code of C. Suppose if I do not write any kind of thing and I just click on the run button here, you will see that C plus GCC is not recognized as an internal external command. Now, what is GCC? GCC is the application by which C language is being run. So this right now I did not install the GCC in my PC. That's why it's showing something like GCC is not recognized, right? So you need the application, means the actual runner of the programming language installed on your PC, computer, laptop. Then only you can run that language by using Code Runner. And what's the facility? Means the very best thing about Code Runner is you will not be going to the terminal again and again and writing like npm or like nodemon index.js and npm run something like that. Okay, so you just click here and boom, you can see the output is there. So this is a very easier, this makes the work very easier to work with any language. So let's move on to the next one. Obviously live server, I used it in most of my videos, and you see that whenever I'm working on any client side project like making any kind of website, then I use live server because what happens, it gives a real time website update, web page update whenever you save any code. So this is also enabled, and you can see like go live is there at the bottom of the screen. Now we are having like purple theme, right? So I'm also using a lot of themes in VS Code. So let's enable this one here, dark. So you can see something like this. This is a default that I use. But right now I just switched to the shades of purple here. This is something more advanced. This one. This seems to be more cool. And pre-tier is also there, code format. Suppose you are writing any code and it is not like formatted, then you can just format it by using pre-tier or the default formatter in the VS Code for the particular programming language. Now we are having tab 9. This is also very useful if you are working with any kind of language like AI autocomplete for JS and other languages. You write any code, you press enter, it gives you some lines, a piece of code in a gray color. If you press tab, it will be inserted in your editor. So this is the magic about this. Now we are having ChatGPT. This I installed when I was like working on ChatGPT project, a ChatGPT clone, because by using this you can make ChatGPT request, API request directly from the VS Code only. But the only thing that you need is API key. And how you get the API key? Go watch my previous video in which I just told you about how you can access API key by going to the openai.com/developers. So the next thing we are going to discuss about. Okay, let's move on to the main topic. And here's the main topic that comes as what we are going to cover in this video. In this video, we are going to cover comments in JS, primitive values in JS, console variables and constant declaration, and then legal variable names, functions, type of functions, object arrays, modules, exception handling. So let's move on to the first comment. Okay, so let me ask you one question. Suppose you are writing any kind of program in which suppose you are writing some code, some piece of line that you want the program to ignore, but you are writing it. Suppose you write any kind of, you make any kind of website. Suppose if I go to Google, not to Google, suppose if I write here something like console.log 2. Okay, so this is a very basic JS code. I just covered it earlier as well. So if I just control plus click on console, then I will be redirected to the TypeScript code that is being used for just making this whole JS. So you can see a lot of functions of JS, how the JS is working. So here you can see something like a comment is there, right? So suppose here's written like force useful CSS related methods, no object with this interface are implemented. So is this a code? It's not a code. So what is it? In fact, it's like a piece of line of statement which is being ignored by the program. Otherwise, it will throw out errors. Okay. So how you can make that by using these by using comments. Okay. So for making comments, you can just go here. And they're like two types of comment. First, okay. So you can see the power of Express. Means sorry, tab 9. Here you can see some gray, right? Gray color of piece of code, and if you just press a tab, it will be inserted. Okay. Boom. You can see. Okay, so let's move on to the main topic here. And there are two types of comments in JS. First is a single line comment and multi-line comment. So let's move on to the single line comment first. So for that you need to give double slashes here. And now you can write anything like make a add function. Okay, make a add function. Now after that we are having a single line comment. You can see the tablet has generated some code here for adding adding two numbers. Okay, so make a add function is like single line comment, and suppose you're writing a lot of things like this, right? And you want the program to ignore all these things. So what you can do here, you can just go here and say slash means slash, then you can just multiplication sign, hashtag, then one more hashtag, and a slash. Inside this you can write a multi-line comment like this. Now this hole is being ignored by the program, but remember, whenever you are adding any kind of comment, you should close it. Otherwise, one error will be there. That's going to be a lot harmful for your project. So when you are writing, and why we need to write comments, in fact, you see the you saw the previous example like console.log. You see here, this line is being written to inform the developer. Suppose if any developer is viewing this file, then what he understand? He understand this code? No, he may not, because this is a lot advanced code. So to make the user, means the developer or even a client, understand what's your code, means what your code is trying to do, then you can just write comments to make your code more beautiful, make your code more understandable, standardizable. So for that comments are being used. Okay, now this is like how you can use comments in JS. Next thing, let's move on to the primitive values. Now here we are having primitive values in which, like, okay, so what are primitive values? These are the data types in JS. Okay, let me give you one example. Suppose like there are a lot of kind of data types. You say numbers, you say 1 2 3 4 numbers. You say string, you are having like hi, this is a string, hi is a string, whereas 2 is a number. And suppose you are writing any big number like this, a big number, so this is a big integer. You are adding some conditions like true and false. So these are like what? These are condition, these are known as booleans. We are having this much means the basic primitive values are like true, high, big integers, booleans, and many, and like objects and arrays as well. So let's move on to the first one, that's like two needs the integers. So first of all, let me just tell you about what are integers in fact. Okay, so like you say integers, so by that I mean numbers. I means integers are like number. numbers. And what are like, in fact, you say like ABCD, or you say any kind of word or sentences. So okay, here's like integers. Now here, what are strings? Strings are like letters, like English alphabet letters, alphabetical letters, alphabetical letters. Then we are having like booleans. So what are booleans? Booleans are basically two values, true, comma, false. Then we are having, after that, we are having big integers. So like big integers. So in a big integer we are having what? We are having um big integers. So in JS you can like declare any kind of big integer by using a special encoding which is known as n at the last of the number. So suppose you want to say a big integer is there which is starting with 2, so you can write like 2n, and 2n is a big integer, right? And this can hold a lot of numbers in between. So let's move on to the practical approach here. Let's go to the console. So what is the console in JS? It's the mostly used thing in JS, either it's client side or server side. So what is a console? Console is something like, console is to just log out your data to the console to show the data. Suppose you're working on any kind of project and you want to just show the, you want to just print the data to your console, then you can use console dot. A lot of functions are there. So like the most basic is like console.log that many of the people use. And in the console.log you can give anything you want to be printed in the console. Okay, so here let's give something like 2. Now to run this, let's go to code runner, click here. You can see 2 is there, right? Now suppose if I write 2n, it will not give me any error, but if I write 2m, it will give me one error. Means this 2n, n is used for big integers. If I save this, go back, so you can now also, if I just run this, 2n is there, right? Now there is one keyword in JS. And what's that keyword? Let me just tell you. Now like 2n, and there is a keyword here. And the keyword is type of. And how you can use type of. Suppose if I take say type of hi, hi is a what? It's a string, right? So it will just written what? String. Type of hi is string, means a reverse is happening. So type of hi is string. Type of 2, 2 is what? A number. So number is exactly equal to integers. So what it will return? It will return something like integer or int values. In fact, in a short, you can say int, and you can say type of 2n. So what it will return? It will return big int. Int means integer or big int. Then we are having type of, suppose if I say true, comma false, then it will return what? It will return boolean. So this is like how the type of is working, right? So if I write here like type of 2n is on the run, big integer, right? Big int. Now if I say type of 2 number, or you can say integer, the same thing is there. Okay, so let's say hi string. So in fact it's a string, so the type of hi is string. Now what happens, why we need to console it out? Because the type of is returning some value, but to get that value you need console.log to print that value. Let's move on to the next one, that's like variable and constant declaration. So let's move here. Now there are something like mutables and immutables. So in JS basically, so in JS we are having like mutables and unmutables, means immutables. And how you can say like, okay, let's say immutable, first thing is like immutable, mutable. Now immutable. So what do I mean by immutable and immutable? So mutable are basically the two things, let and var. These two keywords are known as mutable. I will explain you what's that, let and var. And mutable is what? Mutable is const. So what's the basic difference is, suppose if I write like let num is equal to 2, and so what's happening, we are declaring one variable here which is with the name num and having like 2 as a value. So I can change this value throughout my program anywhere at any place. Similarly, I can even change the value of var num. So if I say var num2 is equal to 2n, okay, or if I say var big int is equal to 2n, then means these two values can be changed throughout the program anywhere at any place. Okay, even in another program as well, if I just connect these two files to a main index.html file, then these both can be changed. So these are known as what? Mutables. Now the second thing comes is const. And what happens in course of const? Suppose if I say name, suppose if I name say it to be Ayush. So what is happening? Ayush is a name, means is assigned to a variable which name whose name is name, and it's declared by using const. Means it cannot be changed throughout the program anywhere at any place. So these are known as immutable. Immutable means you are one, you cannot change, and mutable is one you can change. So this is the basic difference between the mutables and the non-mutables. Means the immutables, and after that's all done, let's console it out and just take it in between. Now what's the next thing after declaration of, like, you can declare the values, you can declare by writing the keyword, then you can the name of the variable equal to operator to assign the value. And one more thing I want to tell you, that forms a basic confusion in JS or any other programming language as well. There is a difference between equal to and equal to, was single equal to and double equal to. So single is like a single, what the single do is like assignment, and the equal to is for what, is for condition, it's for checking out a condition. Equal to, the real equal to is at this place, like double equal to, and single equal to mean assignment. Now let's move on to the second next thing. Now we are having like you can say legal variable name. Now you can't do something like this. You like let 1 2 3 3 2 3 3 4 equal to a. This cannot be done. This is totally an error, that you cannot name a variable like this. There are some valid names even for a variable. So let me just tell you what are these limits. First, the variable cannot start with any number, right? First thing is, you cannot start any variable with by using a number. Second, it cannot start with the exclamatory sign. Either you cannot start it even by using an at the date symbol. You cannot even use the hashtag symbol. You cannot use the percentage symbol. Okay, so if I write percentage, it will give me divide. So yeah, this cannot be done. Like percentage sign cannot be used at the starting of any variable name. Now you cannot use. Okay, let's see this one. So no, this cannot be done. So let suppose if you use shift plus 7 and a symbol, then can you do that? No, you cannot do that. Means you cannot do it by using such a kind of let means symbols at the starting of any variable name. So what the valid one? The valid one is dollar sign. You can say let dollar name is equal to 2. This will not throw any error. You can use it at the starting. The one more is there. You can use underscore at the starting of any variable name. So so these are the two valid symbols here that you can use. Now you can even in the valid you can say the valid variable name, you can use Hindu Arabic, not Arabic, you can say Arabic symbols. That's there like alpha, beta. This can also be used as a variable names in JS. So that's like legal variable names. You cannot use any number at the starting, or it cannot. Yeah, you can use at the end as well. You can use the numbers at the end, like name 2 can be done. This is like valid, right? But if you say like to name is like totally not valid. So this is a basic difference that you should know about a legal and illegal variable declaration in JS. Let's move on to the next one, functions. So here comes the most basic and the most used thing, like functions. So what happens is a function. Suppose you are just having a calculator, and every time you are receiving any kind of calculation, like you are receiving every time two numbers, and you are asked to add these two numbers. So every time you will take these two numbers and you add them, and then you print them. So that's a very lengthy process in case you're having that. But suppose if you want to make your work even shorter, then you can make a function add which will work for every value of a and b, which needs to be added up. So this add used to work with every number, every two-digit number. So how you can do that? Suppose if I say like a function is there which is taking two numbers, and it's like adding these two numbers inside its functionings and then returning the value. So by using a single function, you can just perform several tasks very shortly in a very short period of time, means making the work more easier. So how can you declare a function here? For declaring a function, you need a function keyword. You need to just write function keyword, and then you need to write add. Suppose we are making a function with the name of add, not necessarily add, but a name of add. So add, and it's going to take two numbers, suppose a and b, and inside the brackets we use to give parameters. These are basically known as parameter or params in short, and this is known to be the name of the function. So we are having parameters a and b, and what's a and b? These are the two numbers which we need to add. So we are going to open the function by using curly braces, and inside the curly braces you can just do whatever you need. So do anything. Okay, so do anything. Now, like function add is like completed. Now, what you can do inside this, we are having a lot of functions, means we are having a lot of tasks that we can perform inside any kind of function. We can return the value. So, what's a return keyword? Return. So, this return is a keyword which is being used in JS to return some value, not to print some value. Printing a value and returning a value is a totally different thing, and you put in some value, you just directly show the thing. But suppose you want to store the value, you cannot print it and then store it. You need a return keyword so that you get the value after assigning from the function, and you save it to any other variable by using equal to operator. So in the add, suppose if we want, like suppose let's say return a plus b, it means what? You are returning the sum of a plus b. So if I just say let a equal to add 1 comma 2, then what 1 comma 2, what's going to the value of a? Of course it's going to be 3. So if I say like console.log a and click on this run button here, so you can see here that we are going to receive 3 in the console, absolutely 3. So now if I just go a little bit up, so here's how the return is working, just to give the value, not to print the value directly. So out of functions, let's talk about the types of function. We are having this in our list today. So the types of function are also there. So let's take a look at the types of function. Let me just console this line here. Means comment on this line here. And after that, let's move on to the types of function. So basically there are three types of function. Normal function I just discussed here. Add is a normal function that you can see the basic and the normal form. And suppose if you forget this kind of structure of function, then in VS Code what you can do, you write function, and now you can see a drop down in there, function statement at the right hand side. So you can just go to that one and press enter. You get the basic structure of a function. Okay. Or types of function includes one normal function, second it's like an arrow function. So how an arrow function works? Suppose I make a variable a, and now how is this working is equal to, and then like inequality sign here, greater or lesser, whatever you say. So like const a is equal to, okay, let me just declare second one, a2. So is equal to a arrow function, which is going to be like something like this, right? Equal to greater sign, and then we are having one in the bracket, we are going to give the parameters, and like not at this place. The arrow function is after the, means after this box. This is a like what bracket. Inside the bracket, we are having the parameters a and b. These are the two parameters a and b. We are going to take in the function, and we are going to what? We are going to just return that. Let's say a comma b, and we are going to return by using the arrow function. This sign is being used, and in this we are going to say return a plus b. What is happening? We are taking two parameters a and b by using means in a variable only. Means this was a lengthy task, right? This was a lengthy task. You first make a function, you return the value, you store it into a variable. That's a very big task. You can do it easily by using a add function. Simply by writing the declaration equal to, and in the brackets you write the parameters, then you make a callback, or you can say an arrow function. You open the curly braces, and you just run your code whatever you want to return the value. And now you can even say console.log like a2, and this is a function. In fact, this is a function. So like a2, a comma first a comma 2. So let's save this, go here. 3 is going to be the output, because 1 plus 2 is 3 only. Okay, so if I give the second one as 3, then 4 will be the answer. Yeah. Now this is all about how you can use this. Now one more function is there, anonymous function. If I say like let a is equal to function, okay, let's say a3, not a3, and function, simply a function without any kind of name. You're just making a function, brackets open, like brackets open, brackets close, and then curly braces, and you say console.log what? You say console.log this. That's it. You just do like that, and after that you just say a3, run the function here. So this is also one way of how you can do that. So let's go a little bit down. So here we are getting one error, that is something like, okay, not error, but this is the even eventually this is the value of this, an array, I think. Yeah, this is an array. So this is how, yeah, the anonymous function is there. Anonymous function. Now after that we are having objects, plain objects, arrays, modules, exception handling. So what are objects and arrays? Let's go quickly and understand what's that. So let's say let object. Now we are making obj is an variable, and we are going to say curly braces. Now this is a kind of JSON, like you see in .json files, you see something like this, right? Something like this, some code like this much. So this is known objects. Okay, so these are plain objects that can contain that are having like two parts. First, a key is there, and then the value is there. So the key can you can write like this only in a very simple way. You can write either it's a string, but you cannot give a key to be equal to a number. Okay, yeah, this should be in mind. It should be something else, but you cannot give a number as a key. Now name Ayush, then suppose a number 2. This is one more like key of the object. Then we are having like, suppose we say bool, or you can say boolean, it's true. Now the next thing you can say something like inside an object you can declare one more object. Inside this object as well you can declare the another object. Okay. Remember one thing, after each and every line, after each and every value, you need to give one comma, and obj2, inside the obj2 you can give a lot of things like dot dot dot. So means it's like never ending process. You can just give it a lot of values inside one and another. Suppose if I print it, console.log obj, I just put in this value here, and I just go to the console and run this. So you can see something like this, means that exactly the same thing is printed. Now in this we are having a lot of functions as well. like only two functions we are having right now. So suppose you want this to not to be a JSON or an object, you want it to be a string. So you can say str is equal to str underscore of obj object is equal to, we are having one JSON. In JavaScript we are having one JSON as a variable, that's like variable, and we're having two functions inside the JSON. One is stringify obj. Now, what do you think it may be? Like we are having this obj and we are just stringifying, converting this obj into a string. Console.log str object. Let's run this. So you can see something like everything is in between double quotes, means everything is a string. And suppose after that, I select type of to check is it a string or not. So I just say type of string of object. So you can see string is a type of, in the type is string now. And suppose if you wanted if you want your object back, object of string, then you can use json dot parse. Parse is the second function, the last one. Json dot parse, then you pass the string, not the actual object, you pass the string to be converted into the real JSON. You just say console.log obj str, save it and click on run button here. So you can see something like this, right? So this is actual object. And if I say type of, and in the type of we are having like object. Now after that we are having arrays. So in fact, what arrays, how you can declare an array. So ARR, you need any variable there. So the mostly common thing I see when people are declaring any kind of array, then they use ARR. So in this you can just give the values 1 comma 2 comma 3. This can be one simple array, and the ARR means the array is having a lot of functions that you can use. Like a lot of functions are there that you can perform on this. So I will be making one video on these functions. For right now, let's understand the basic like basic thing that you should know about an array. First of all, if I say type of an ARR, this is written in square brackets. Save this, run this. So if you run this, you can see this is also an object. This is not a different data type like array, but this is also an object. Now after that, suppose you are having an array of students which are there in your class, and you want for each student you want to check his capabilities. Means you want to check each and every student step by step. You check this one, then you after that you proceed to the next one, proceed to the next one, and in this way you are progressing, right? So how you can run the we need a loop that's going to run for each and every value. And suppose if you want like 1 comma 2 comma 3 separately to be written in another line, so what you can do, ARR dot for each. For each is a function that can be used to just okay. So suppose if I say x to be 1, like a very like to x is what, an element of element which is representing each and every element of this array. So it's running step by step, means 3 times it's running. And not only x, we are having one more parameter here. In the callback we are having x as well as one more like x index. So we say x. So if I say like for each, and we are having one first parameter x. So if I say x, save it, run this. So you can see 1, 2, 3 are being printed on separate lines. Means it's running for each of the value, and then we are printing that value. Now suppose if you want the index of these values, you just write x index, and now you will get the index 0, 1, and 2, because the counting starts from 0. In programming, the counting starts from 0. So in the zeros means the first element is 1, first, second, means second not, first is 2, and second is 3. So this is how the counting methods goes on in JS. Now that's all. That's like about the ARR. Now there are a lot of functions, I know. I will cover that in any other video. Now we are having modules. So this like modules. Suppose I just make one more new file here. That's like module.js. So if I just go here, And let's make one function here, add, and that's going to have two parameters a and b, and we are going to return a plus b. Okay. And what is a module? You can make one module. Suppose you want this to be exported globally to all the programs, so that from any other file as well I can accept module. So for that you need to write a module. In JS we are having module dot. Now you may think about what is a module. So module is like an array. This is a globally exported array, which is like exported to all the files that are present in your directory. So you can select module dot, you can say exports dot, in exports is also an object, so you can add one more at that place, and you can say dot add, means dot add. Inside that we are making one key with the name add, and we are passing that function add here. Now remember, don't call this function like this, it will not work. Just write the name of the function that you want to export. That's it, only one single line, like module.export.add is equal to add, and now this function is being exported globally to all the files in your directory. Save this. Okay, so let's make one more file here, accept underscore module dot js. Now here what I'm going to write, I'm going to write like const in like double curly braces. I'm going to write add is equal to, we are having one statement in node.js, required to required is what, like a very simple, if you see in simple languages you can say required is to accept some data from the globally exported modules. So require, and now you can say like dot slash module. Simple. And why I write like this, like in an object form, because we are exporting it as an object. That's why there's like an add, right? Like we are having the add as an object. That's why we can only accept it by in this way, by requiring the module. How I can run this? So if I say console.log add 1 comma 2 1 comma, let's say 5, this time 1 comma 5 or 2 comma 5. And let's go to the terminal here, and we are going to run this file here, run this file. So we are getting in one error, module is not defined. What is module not is not defined? We are having one error, module is not defined. Now it is going to work. Now you can see, let's run this, add 2 comma 5. We are just adding that, and we are not getting any value here. Why is that so? It should give like 7. Return a plus b. So here's an add which is being exported. File is a common JS, it may be converted to ES module. Type of the module exports. So we are having like modular exports, and we are just accepting that by using this. Where is it not change? Save this, run this. Okay, now you can see 7 days. So the only thing was like .js to tell the program that yeah, we are importing the exported function from a .js extension. Yeah, that may be the reason. So like we are saying console.log add 2 comma 5. Now one more last and the most important one is exception handling. Suppose you are writing any kind of program that may throw any kind of error. So what you can do, you can use try catch. Now how you can do that? Return back to my main file here. So I'm going to write like try, and this try cannot be written without catch. You need to write catch as well. Error means the error. And suppose we are getting any kind of error, we are going to console.log the error. So this is a basic structure of through try and catch. Suppose you forget that, you just write try catch, you will get statement plus enter, the VS code will give you the basic. This is like absolutely the same, right? So let's move this one and use this one here. Now suppose let's give any kind of statement that may throw one error here. So let's say let 2 like this is equal to this 34. So this is the global error, I should not do that. Okay, so let's say throw, we are just going to throw our own made error by using new error, and new is used to just call any kind of class that you make. we are going to know about this in our previous in our upcoming videos. So throw new error, and we are going to say error 2, error 222. That's going to be a funny error, and error 222, and that's going to be the error. It's throwing the error, and suppose if we get that error, we are going to say console.log error. So like this we are going to say, and that's going to be like, obviously we are going to get error. So you can see error we are getting. And suppose if I say I want to just console.log this parameter error, means the actual error, then what we can do? We can just console.log error. So let's go to the terminal and see. Let's run this. So you can see the actual error is there. So this is the actual error that's coming, and yeah, that's it. So this is the first. That's all for the first part of basic JS. So hope you enjoyed this part, I mean the first one. So yeah, that's all for this video. Meet you in the next video with some the second part of this JS basics. So till then, see you.